Hello, and welcome to Demand Better Canada. Today we're going to be discussing the cost of living crisis, and particularly the housing crisis that people in Ontario currently face. And we're going to be talking about it in context of the Ontario election that's coming up on June 2nd. So make sure that you get out and vote. So we're going to be looking at just one of the plans, the most credible and ambitious of the plans, the NDP's. Now, why do I say that it's the most credible? Well, the NDP has been promising affordable housing since the 90s, when this issue was not on any other politician's radar, but they saw that the cost of living crisis was affecting Canadians all the way back then. So they were already putting forward policies decades ahead of when the crisis started to be acknowledged by the media. On top of this, because the NDP is actually going to increase taxes on the rich and corporations, people who have not been paying their fair share of taxes for decades, they are able to easily afford their promises. Whereas the Liberals and Conservatives, they have rich donors that they don't want to hurt financially. So odds are, if they increase taxes, they're going to be increasing your taxes, not the taxes of the rich who can afford it. So what we're going to be discussing primarily, and I would recommend that you take a look at it yourself because I'm not even going to be able to mention everything that's in here. The NDP's plan is not only credible because they're going to raise taxes on the rich, but also because they're planning to save enormous amounts of money when it comes to homelessness by ending it. There are countries around the world, such as Finland, that have recently proven that ending homelessness by guaranteeing housing to people is less expensive, literally costs less money, than the extra healthcare and policing costs of leaving people on the streets. So they ended homelessness in order to save money. That was why they did it, and it was proven that that was what happened. The NDP will immediately end the costly homelessness crisis and simultaneously support the struggling hotel sector by arranging for temporary accommodations until more permanent social housing is built. And we'll get into that too, because they're planning to build a lot of housing. Within 10 years, Ontario will not only have ended homelessness, they will likely have saved millions of dollars with their upfront housing investment, rather than just letting the costs build up on the other end. As well, they're going to crack down on the speculators who are actually causing the massive increase in housing prices. The NDP is actually planning to crack down on the speculators who are causing the housing crisis, not only by closing the loopholes that allow wealthy investors to get around the non-resident speculation tax. So this is one of the main reasons why foreign buyers in our market is still a problem, is because the wealthiest foreign buyers are all able to get through using the Liberal and the Conservative loopholes that have been intentionally left in place for Liberal and Conservative donors. So the tax doesn't properly work to keep demand down because the explicit people who are causing the housing crisis are the ones who the Liberals and Conservatives are allowing through. In addition to that, the NDP is planning to tax wealthy speculators who own many houses, as well as investment companies that are currently left out of a lot of speculation taxes, even though investment companies are one of the main things jacking up our prices. So by taxing these organizations, 2% of the value of the properties they hold, they encourage these companies to stop overvaluing the prices of all of their housing as a way of getting cheap debt. And there's a number of other reasons why companies would do this in order to get more money out of their consumers as well as investors. If we aren't targeting these massive wealthy corporations with a tax that actually makes them pay for the increase of housing prices, then we're not going to see these housing prices decrease. They're also planning to end exclusionary zoning, which is one of the main ways that people who are not in my backyard prevent affordable housing and other positive things from being built in their community because they believe that it will decrease their housing value or something. This is obviously a terrible thing and has hamstrung a number of municipal governments around Ontario and is one of the main reasons why we currently don't have enough housing. So the NDP is going to reverse that. The NDP is planning to build at least 100,000 affordable units of non-market housing, meaning it can't be bought up by wealthy investors or landlords. It only can be purchased by the people who are using it. This is one of the main reasons why their plan is much better than other people's plans, because when the Liberals and Conservatives build more housing, they then sell it to rich people. And then the rich people turn around and jack up the prices or jack up the rents, and we end up paying the costs. And the Liberals and Conservatives, they win another election, but it's not that good. So in addition to building 100,000 units of affordable homes, which is an enormous amount, an enormous undertaking for a provincial government to do, they are also planning to upgrade and fix 260,000 units of social housing that currently exist to make them good quality, safe, and usable for years to come. So right now, because the Conservatives and Liberals are not planning to invest in these things, guess what? It's going to cost us millions of dollars down the road because we're suddenly going to run out of housing. We're suddenly going to have a whole bunch of houses not fit to live in because the government just decided they didn't care about most of these people. Honestly, this is possibly one of the most important things because it is what will allow the NDP to deliver on the ending homelessness promise and save Ontario literally millions of dollars. They're also planning to build 40 to 60,000 new supportive housing for mental health and addiction challenges. So there are a number of elements of homes that could be improved for people who have difficulties. But because most people don't have those difficulties, the market will never build those homes. The market can't build those homes because they're essentially building a home that they can only sell to a limited market, which instantly decreases their ability, like the price that they can sell it at. If the government doesn't build these houses, the market absolutely is not going to take on that risk. This is housing we absolutely would not have been able to get otherwise. Now, some people say that, oh, you're building all this affordable housing, the market is suddenly going to just stop building all these houses. Yeah, that's not how it works. There will still be plenty of housing being built in Canada. It just won't literally all be owned by the wealthy. And honestly, that's how we end the housing crisis. Personally, I think that this plan could be even more ambitious. They could tax wealthy speculating companies even more, and it would still be profitable for those companies to operate. It would still be profitable for basically all of the capitalists to operate, but now they actually have to give a little bit back more to us, to the community, to the people who actually make this society function. The NDP is not only planning to help hundreds of thousands of households, the NDP is not only planning to help hundreds of thousands of households, but they are planning on helping 311,000 households pay the rent. Now you may wonder, hold on a second. So we're going to be helping these people pay the rent using a new portable housing benefit that travels if you choose to move? Well, what if all these landlords just jack up the prices? I mean, Doug Ford just got rid of rent control, and so people's prices have been skyrocketing all around Ontario. Well, the NDP has a solution for that too. They plan on bringing back the form of rent control that existed prior to Doug Ford and possibly even making it better. They're also planning to fix the Landlord and Tenant Board, which is currently biased heavily in favor of landlords, and sometimes will do an eviction without even having the tenant able to show up to the hearing because of just the absolutely opaque way that it is set up. And it's basically set up so that if you can afford a team of lawyers, like all these massive housing corporations, you'll be fine. But if you're like a small landlord, or if you are an average renter, you are essentially screwed by this system. It needs to change. So let's do a quick recap of just all the things that the NDP are planning to do. They're planning to end homelessness, which is proven will save us money. They are planning to build over 100,000 homes, which will save us money and will prevent wealthy investors from owning literally the entire housing stock. They're going to fix up another 260,000 because that will increase our housing stock, or at least keep it stable and not decreasing. They're also planning to end the speculation by taxing speculators, getting rid of the loopholes that Liberals and Conservatives left in for the wealthy, and getting rid of some of these exclusionary zoning laws that make it incredibly difficult for a municipality to build the housing that they need if rich people oppose it. As well, The final thing that I wanted to mention was, oh right, the rent. Holy crap. So they're going to actually make life more affordable for at least 311,000 households. So if you care about affordable housing as a renter, as a homeowner, as someone who just doesn't like being gouged by wealthy corporations, then you should support the NDP in this election, because they are making the most credible commitments on this front, and those commitments are ambitious enough that they might be able to at least start addressing the problem, which the other parties simply haven't done. The Liberals had 14 years to deal with the affordable housing crisis. The Conservatives have had, I guess, 12 if you count all three of their majority governments over the last 30 years. Then, basically, together, those parties have chosen not to do anything about this. So, we have to select the party that is credible when they promise these things. I hope you have an excellent day. Demand better, Ontario.